Jazzcast Pros.
Welcome to Healthy Illness Podcast, the podcast helping you build healthier relationships while living with mental health conditions. I am your host, Kelly Marie Wolford, and in this episode of the Healthy Illness Broadcast, we are talking about business and mental health, your relationship to yourself and your business. I have two incredible guests joining me today. I am so honored and proud to have them share this moment. We came up the road from Buffalo to record today, and in the studio for our episode today, I have Detra Trueheart. Detra, thank you so much for joining me. You are a life strategist and the founder and CEO of Trueheart Speaks. Thank you so very much, and this is going to be so good. And Dr. Latricia Clarissa Davis. So what I'd like to do is start with you, and then we'll go to you, Detra. Latricia, just tell us a little bit about Girl Get Your Breakthrough, Power to Emerge, building that space, and what brings you into this particular space when we're talking about business and mental health.
Wow, thank you, Kelly, for having me. Such an honor to share this space with you. You know, I've been at it for a long time, decades, working in business for myself. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10 years old. I didn't know there was any other life outside of entrepreneurship because I saw it modeled very young from my grandmother, who was instrumental in guiding me down that way. I saw her navigate through having family and being an entrepreneur, but also being a woman of color and a powerful business leader in the community. And so because I was raised around strong women, I gravitated towards a desire to serve in that way. But more importantly, I needed someone, right, to support me and to show me. And so I realized that there came a point in time in my journey where I had to give back. And the mentors that cultivated me, now I had to step into that role of mentorship. Therefore, Girl Get Your Breakthrough came into play. And being a consultant allows me to go into companies and work with them, not just leaders, but all people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Detra, what brings you to this space?
Ooh, we don't have enough time. But I will say, when we talk about the space of business and mental health, I will stick to that. In this season, my role around teaching high capacity women and leaders, teaching them how to slow down. We are high capacity, high performing, overachieving. Like, we want to dot all the I's, we want to cross all the T's, we want to bold and italicize, and we want to put sparkles, like all the things, right? And child, we be tired showing up for all the people. And I was one of those people. And so being in a space where I recognized that I was on the verge of burnout, where exhaustion, booked and busy, but burnt out and tired, that was the label that I carried. And I glamorized busy. And so what brings me to this space now is teaching people that that doesn't have to be the narrative, and that we can rewrite that narrative, and we can do something different, and we can still achieve the things.
And so I've heard a lot today about the things that people need to do in business, right? You need to make sure that you have your accountant, make sure that you have a plan, make sure that you take time for yourself. And what I like to do is just focus in on the solutions, right? We heard a lot about some of the issues that come up with entrepreneurship. So let's stay in the tool space. And I think that would lend to both of your specialties and also to our audience as well. So one of the things that comes up often is boundaries, right? We are just getting to a place in business where we're talking about boundaries, really. We've heard about work-life balance, but what does it really mean to set boundaries and the issues people have doing that? So thinking solutions, in what ways can people begin to set boundaries and stick to them?
I think that you need to do a self-check on a regular basis. We don't have boundaries because we were never taught to really put them in place. And so when you're a leader, overwork becomes like your normal, and you rate yourself based on how much you're producing. So I'm doing well, and I'm going to reward myself because I'm overproducing, right? But when it comes to the time I need for rest, I don't take time to do that. And the reason why I'm not taking time to rest is because I haven't done a check-in. So when you do a resilient check-in, is what I call it, check in spiritually, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, how are you doing? And how are you aligned with what your purpose is on this earth, the thing that you know you're here to do? And not just that, but am I okay? Asking yourself, like, are you okay? And if you're not okay, what are the things that you can now start to do, right? Putting that rest check in. It's not just about vacation. Why do we have to wait to go on vacation to
Right.
rest?
Right.
Right? Like
tired
designated
and
time.
grinding
Yes.
At the airport, making sure everything is
Everything
done.
is okay. Yeah.
And still tired when we get back from the vacation.
Because you need a vacation from the
'Cause
vacation.
you do.
Listen,
Yeah.
can we
Yeah.
talk about it?
Yeah.
Right.
That ain't
So
right.
give me 10, 15 minutes to do that check-in to say, you know what? I need a minute, right? Before I can give out of myself, I need to pour back in, and sometimes that's rest. That is taking a nap. I have adjusted to taking
Child,
naps.
you know,
Yes,
naps is
that is
baked to me.
good.
I
That is
love me
a
a good
beautiful
nap.
thing. Take
Naps.
naps. Naps, right? Naps, yes.
Rest.
Rest. Yeah.
Detra.
Ditto to that. The other thing that I would say is, first of all, let's talk about giving yourself permission to have boundaries. Not only are we don't talk about it, and we are not conditioned to have boundaries. We come from enmeshed families where we just but I think the other part is decide what are the standards that you create in your business. So for example, like for me, I work from home. So my phone is on do not disturb, specifically if I'm on Zoom calls, if I'm doing really work that I have to focus in so that I'm not distracted. And so how are you using the small tools like the do not disturb? Like where do I need space to insert so that I have white space, right? Boundaries around access, right? Who can access me at certain times? And so I think those are the things that we also need to be thinking about, because sometimes we think, oh, well, as an entrepreneur, like I should be accessible to all the people, and you should not. Or because maybe your schedule when you worked a 9 to 5, like you kind of have a set schedule of how you are doing certain things. So if you're out of the office, not out of the office, out of the house, or if you are in somewhere outside of where you live, people probably are not going to call you because they're like, oh, they're at work. But let me give an example. Even when I worked a 9 to 5, those of us who have people who we love, who still think, and I'm talking about those of us who are in that sandwich generation where we got them parents that think that they can call and all the things. I had to teach my mom that just because I worked in an office and sat at a desk behind a computer, that I couldn't go to the www and look up all the things, because she was watching Oprah and she was watching, or now it's Sherry, but then it was Wendy Williams, and she wanted the specials that they gave. And so she wanted me in the middle of my workday. And so I had to say, Mom, I'm working. And so part of creating boundaries is also communication, letting folks know whether you work a 9 to 5 or not, because some people are parallelpreneurs. They're working a 9 to 5 and they're working a 5 to 9 or a 5 to 5, like however you work in it. But there has to be something around what are the boundaries that allow you to not only show up at work, but show up for you at the highest capacity.
That's good stuff. One of the things that I did when you said white space was I block out in my 9 to 5 the first hour of the day. There are no meetings. If the phone, I only answer for 2 people, my boss and my other boss, because I know I needed that time to prepare for the day.
Yes.
And so building that white space, how do people do that? What is one way that folks can begin to make that accommodation to themselves in their schedules?
I think, again, the self-awareness is important, because if you don't know what you need because you have never taken time to sit still with yourself, I can tell you what my husband needs, what my children need. I can tell you what the people at work need. I can give you a laundry list of that. But if I don't take the time to know what I need, do I actually need to sit down? Do I need my bubble bath tonight? Will I need that? Looking at perspective, what I'm responsible for. We're responsible for so many things. And oftentimes seeing that list of everything we have to do. And remember, we're high producers. We're high capacity, right? And so we know we can get it done, but why do we fill every gap with something? Oh, I have a room. I've got 2 hours here. Let me block that off. Okay, and see what else I can get into that space. No, own the space that you're in and give yourself the permission and the ownership of that time. This time is for nothing. This is my nothing time. I'm not planning a call. I don't need to talk to anybody. I will go into my room and close the door for an hour if I need to do that, and not have to explain it, because oftentimes we get caught up in explaining, well, it says that you have this time on your schedule. Oh, that time is for me. It's not for a meeting. It's not for anything else. And then get the guilt off of you. Let's take the guilt off.
Yes.
Right? We carry guilt all the time because we want to have to explain it. No, you don't. You don't have to explain it. And I think once we get past that, it becomes easier to own that space.
That's good. That's good. And so that leads me into delegation, because that came up on some of the other podcasts. At what point, because we want to do it all, I do the actual work of, in this case, podcasting, or, being a doula, doing mental health work. That's the work. But then I'm also the accountant and the bookkeeper, because those are two different things. I'm the social media person. I'm the editor. Not of the podcast, because Jazz knows that would never happen. But trying to figure out how to use the Instagram and make it cute. Yeah, the Instagram. How I make the thing the thing to move. Not just a picture, but I want it to move and be flashy. But we take on all these roles in addition to delivering the service or producing the products. When do we know that it's time to let go of all those other things? My mother's thing is, it's going to cost you time or cost you money, period. No matter what it is, it's going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money. Yeah. But how do entrepreneurs walk through that space of understanding, am I going to pay for it or am I going to pay for it?
I think you have to get in spaces where people are talking about that, because when you come into, first of all, when you come into entrepreneurship, you think you have to do all the things, right? Like this, and here's the other part, you're protective of your baby. So you want to make sure it's right. You want to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted, right? But I think sometimes you don't know that you can ask for help. You don't know that there are people who can actually do it for you. So pre-Trueheart Speaks, I ran a nonprofit called the Young Miss Buffalo Pageant, and we ran for about 20 years. And so one of the things that I had to learn with my baby was that sometimes somebody doing it at 80% is better than you doing it at 100%. Because sometimes it doesn't have to always be done the way you do it, as long as the end result is how you want it to be. And so maybe you do A, B, C, D, and E, but maybe they do A, E, F, G and H. But the end result, if you are clear, so communication, if you're clear around what this, I would say, well, I don't necessarily care what you do to do it, as long as it looks like this. And so we've got to release control. Right? But we also have to release the guilt around like, oh, I feel like I'm, I feel like I should be doing this. And so I want to bring this also not just to business, but at home as well. Because sometimes what's required in your business means that you got to do less at home, which means delegation may mean you need to bring somebody in to clean your house. You may need to bring somebody in who can do the laundry. You may need to bring somebody in who can do meal prep, because when you get home from work, there is work that sometimes only you can do, and sometimes it requires more time. But if you're worried about, well, dang, like I only have this amount of time because when I get home, I have to cook, I have to do this. But if you release that from your brain, right, it's now no longer, you're not carrying that anymore. You're not carrying that invisible load anymore. You now know, okay, well, that's already taken care of. So let me handle this. So by the time I get home, if I have a family, I can spend time with my family and I'm not crunched. And so I think that mental piece is a life and a work piece, because sometimes it's not the work at work, it's the work at home that causes. So where can you delegate at home and release the guilt of feeling like, well, I feel like I should be able to do this. You don't have to.
For me, I recognize it was costing me money to do it all. I mean, it cost me money. I knew my value. I know my rate per hour. And I said, if I'm going to do something, if this is the task that I'm going to do, I'd rather pay somebody $20 an hour, sow into their business, help feed their family and fund their dream, and then take that time back to have the $2,000 conversation. So what costs me $20 in an hour, I'm making up the difference with $2,000 conversations, $20,000 conversations. Let them schedule the calls for me. Let them vet to make sure that these are great partners in business for me. Make sure that the client aligns for me. Because what happens is you'll start doing all of those minimum tasks, and I'm not minimizing them at all. I'm just saying there is someone who has an anointing or a gift to be a virtual assistant. And they will take what is in my head and they will craft it out and they will make make it beautiful
Yes.
because I'm sharing the vision. See, I want the vision. I'm a visionary, but I'm equipped to give somebody else the task who has the pen and tell them, this is what's in my head. Can you write it for
Yes.
me? So that now, after it's out of my head and people can read it and run, the team can take what is inside of my mind and in my heart and now fully execute it, and I can stand up and go and do what is required of me.
Yeah.
You can work in your
Right?
zone of genius.
I can
Yes.
stay there and then bring in the other money. So eventually, when you let go of that power and know that you're supporting someone on their team,
Yes.
there's a lot of people that can do a lot of great things, and they can do them better than me.
That too.
So if I can pay you and you're better at it, let's partner, let's team up, right? So now we're both producing in the earth, and everybody feels good, and I sleep a lot better at night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And so as people begin to sculpt their spaces and figure out what needs to go somewhere and who they can support, which is an incredible perspective to have, it's not just I'm not doing it, but I'm pouring into someone who can do it and do it better. Just because I can doesn't mean that I do, right? The acknowledgement that you're actually helping other folks, that's a part of the business cycle.
Yeah.
Right? We're keeping the money within the spaces that we want the money to go, pouring into others while we pour into others, right? And so all of that stuff is a gift. Like cleaning is a gift.
Child.
Administrative work
It
is a
is.
gift
Child.
that I don't have,
Listen.
right? And so I understand that about myself.
Thank you.
And so now instead of me stumbling, it took me, I was recording a podcast for years. Y'all ain't see no podcast till I started working with Jazz.
Right.
Because I recording and editing, well, how do I do? At some point, we have to step away, right? And in that step away, it's empowering another business, and you're getting the goal of your own business. So let's talk a little bit about, as we're delegating now and we're setting boundaries, what does that growth look like, that sudden growth? My prayer for everybody is that they receive the sudden growth, right? But when it happens, many people are not prepared because they haven't delegated, they don't have the white space in the calendar, they're doing all of the things. How can we assist entrepreneurs to be ready for the shift integrator?
Can I say something really quickly? Because she about to take off.
Listen, she
I'm adjusting my
getting
seat.
adjusted, getting
Well,
ready. It's
and
about
people-
to get
and
right.
so I don't know if
Don't
I can
run.
say this here, but the three of us have history, so we can feel when we're shifting. So I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna let her take off. But one of the things that I think is important around this growth is the preparation is mindset. There is a mindset shift that has to happen before you take off, because what can happen is mentally and emotionally, if you're not ready, when it happens, you will sabotage it and you will tank it. And this is also why I think you need mentorship. You need to be in spaces or conversations, whether it's masterminds, whether it is, entrepreneurship community groups with people who are already doing or in spaces a little bit further than you, because you know what to expect. When a lot of times when people start to grow, like I have a friend who runs a business and she has a restaurant. And so her business took off. And so it's now to the point where she's got to upgrade her kitchen. And I think it costs like a $50,000 investment. And so she's now managing, because she wasn't prepared for the growth, figuring out how to still maintain the growth and figure out how to upgrade the kitchen because she's still working. And so this is where the boundaries come in. This is where the systems come in. This is where the mentorship comes in. But it also is where the self-analysis and the internal growth. But you don't know that. You don't know what you don't know. So part of it is being around people who can help. Like for me, when I got around a coach who said, because some of us, we hear things, it's like, oh, it's great when you become a six-figure earner. It's one thing to become have a six-figure business, but it's another thing when your business profits six figures.
Yes.
And then it's another thing when your business pays you six figures.
Yes.
And then it's another thing when you start to make six figures in a month, a day, or a week.
Yes.
And so, but most people, I had never heard that until I got into that space. And so it intrigued me, because for me, it was like, oh, I want to make six figures. But once I hit six figures, and even before that, I went to a conference and they said six figures is just the beginning. It's really when you want to hit $1 million. Y'all see where I'm
Yes,
going with this?
yes.
And so you got to get in rooms and spaces spaces that help you, because the reality is where you live and where you grow up is not always the space to be able to help you
Yes.
grow, because they haven't been where you're growing. And so
Yes.
you have to be okay with not talking to people who might be in your round-the-way crew,
Yes.
who may not know because they don't get it. You got to surround yourself with people who have been there and who can see, who are doing things. Right? When I saw people cross the stage who were making 6 figures, 7 figures, and at that moment at that conference, he had 2 8-figure earners who looked like me cross the stage. It now shows me that it's possible.
Yes.
And so when I understand that it's possible, now I understand that growth is possible. And so now there's a mindset shift around what do I need to do and who do I need to be in order to step into
To be
that.
able to get there.
Tag, you're it.
You it.
Yeah. So that's good. So let me give you a perspective. I just graduated with my doctorate, right? And so prior to that was a lot of research. I had to do a lot of research. But I say all that to say, if you're pursuing higher education in this way, don't do everything I did. I was working 9 to 5. I had a consultant business with clients that were paying me 6 figures. Not about the money, about the impact. I'm gonna go somewhere with this story. Then I was in ministry with my husband. And then I had family, right? And then I opened up a boutique store in the Galleria Mall back home.
Beautiful.
Now I'm talking about, I'm in the mall where Apple is and Macy is and J.C. Penney's is. I'm talking about across the hall from me was Brighton. I had earned money and had a reserve of cash that I wanted to use to build a business, and I decided to open a boutique. Who does that? I had no experience, no information. I had no vision, really. Just I knew I loved beautiful things. I was a collector of beautiful things. That's what I do. I shop a lot. I said, if I'm going to shop and do things, I'm going to do it for other people. I wanted to create a space for women where they would feel beautiful, and they could come into this space, and I could protect their innocence, and I could restore what was broken in them just by an image consult. I was doing all that at the same time. Now, I said, God, I know I got great capacity, and many of us have really, really great capacity, and we think just because we have a vision for one thing and this thing and that thing, that we have to do it all at the same time. So let me pause and say it's important to prioritize when you've been gifted the gift of vision, and you have the ability with high capacity.
Yes.
You have to prioritize. Am I supposed to be doing it all at the same time? Absolutely not. Then some of you will do it anyways, like me, and you will get to the place where you're saying something has to go. I was so good at doing all of those things that I was excelling, and everything was growing and enhancing at the same time. How in the world do I keep up this pace without losing myself, without burning out, without stressing out? And then I was more concerned, if I give up something, what will people say?
Come on.
If you're going to grow, you have to get rid of the mindset around, I have to prove and prove again that I deserve to be here, that I'm worthy and deserving of everything that is coming to me. I have to keep proving and I have to keep proving and I have to prove again. So get rid of that, because if you're going to grow, the prove again, you're always going to prove. And remember, people are not watching you to see what you're going to do. They know you're a get it done type of person. They know that. They are watching you to see how you show up. And so when you start to grow, you have to show up in ways that means I need to reduce some things that I'm doing. Maybe I need to concentrate on one thing. The hardest thing I had to do was say, I'm going to close this boutique right now because it is taking more of my money, my time, and my energy. I was an employer. It cost a lot of money to employ people if you're going to do it the right way with W-2s. I'm just saying, that's a whole other podcast. Right?
Not
but
today.
I had to make a decision to do that. And I still kept hearing, well, what will they say? What will they say? Does it mean that I failed? No, it means that I already did it. Oh, y'all gonna get that next week. It means I've already done it. I did it for 2.5 years successfully. I paid people. They never missed a paycheck. I did it.
That's right.
So it means I get to go and close that chapter and go on to something else. Growth means that you have to be willing to let go of the thing that is pulling and draining you so that you can be positioned to receive more and do more. I was able to get my PhD done a lot quicker because I had more time and more focus. So growth means understanding everything that you're responsible for and giving up the things that you don't need to have anymore in this season. Doesn't mean it won't come back around. Doesn't mean that you can't handle that But it just means get in full alignment with all that you're doing and prioritize so that you can grow and excel. Because that is what we want, is we want the impact that comes with growth.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Can I piggyback on that? With what you said around paying attention, that was when I talked about the burnout, and we talk about business and we talk about mental health. The reality is, when I was running my nonprofit, I was at that point of burnout, and I had to decide, do I stay for this year or do I take a break? And we took a break at the highest point, at our 15-year point, because I was at capacity. Mm-hmm. And I won't go into my own personal life, but there were some things that were happening that, because I was so conditioned to be busy, I was not aware of the fact that I needed time to rest. And so the other part around that growth piece is sometimes it's not even that you're doing well at it. You understand that you're not doing as well as you could be because you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And so with that, when we get home, we have to finish this conversation, and they can subscribe, and share the Healthy Illness Podcast on all of the platforms, because we need to do some more in this space.
Yes.
Thank you both so much for sharing with the world how we talk when it's the three of us. Mm-hmm. Trillionaires aren't looking to talk to the billionaires. The billionaires are looking to talk to the trillionaires. The 100,000 folks are not looking to talk to the minimum wage folks. They're looking to talk to the billionaires, right? Mm-hmm. And so as we learn to move and groove and take care of ourselves, who are we talking to? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? And are we on mission? Until the next time, I am Kelly Marie Wofford, host of the Healthy Illness Podcast. Thank you for joining us. If you are in need of someone to talk to, please dial 988. It is a confidential talk line, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are concerned about your mental health, concerned about harming yourself, concerned about harming someone else, or you have a loved one who is in that place, please dial 988. Until the next time, I encourage you to be the light. Thank you.